Hi, this is Shubham, and in this video tutorial, we will learn that how to do unstacking of data into columns. So we have a stack column data and we want to unstack this. So each record has certain fields and we want to break them into their respective columns. So we will learn three different techniques with the help of Excel built-in features. Then we will look this similar technique with the help of dynamic formulas and also with the Power Query. And in the Power Query, we will also see that if there are uneven records or uneven fields for each other records and how to deal with that as well. So let's get started. First, I will show you how to do the unstacking with this data into columns. So let us start with the very simple trick. So let us start. Afterwards, we will go with the dynamic array. So as we know that we have some certain records in this data table, and let's see what those fields are in each other record. So first we have the date, then we have the code, product name, customer name, and then the amount. So each other record contains 5 different attributes or fields you can see, and these are equal lengths. So every record has 5 different fields in each other records, and we want to split them. We want to unstack them into columns. So what could be the most easiest way with respect to the using Excel built-in features and very simple logic? So let us start. I will write equal sign for the first record to get in the date column, and I will refer to that particular date cell, and this will return exactly the same date into my cell. So I have just used this structured references because this particular data is in table format. Otherwise, if you don't make that table format on this particular cell, you will get B3 because V3 contains a date here. Now, similar kind of way, I will go to the next row, and in the code column, I will call that particular code from the record 1, then for the record name, and then the customer. So I'm just using an equal sign and I am just calling that particular field which is available in a cell from the record 1. And now you can see that we have just made it through. We have successfully got all the fields, numbers or text from the record 1, and you can see this is going in a diagonal way. Now you know that this is coming from a formula as very simple logic. Now what I will do is I will copy these 5 rows and I will press Ctrl C to copy the formula, and I will select the other range where these data is going, and I will press Ctrl V. So I have just copied and pasted a formula or the logic which I have applied right now. The next thing is that after doing this, I will select the entire range and I will press Ctrl C, and then I will paste this as a value. So I will go to the paste special and I will see that paste as values. Right now, after pasting as values, you know that all these logics has been removed, right? And these data has been pasted as values. Now what I need to do is I need to remove these blank cells. So first I need to select this blank cells in the range. So I have just selected the range, right? And then I will go to the home tab and then I will click on find and select, and I will go to the special option, or you can press Ctrl G as a shortcut key. So I will go to special, and from here I will click on blanks. So you can see that all the blank cells have been selected, and now I will press Ctrl hyphen sign from the keyboard. That will show me a delete dialog window, and from here I will select shift cells up and I will press the OK key. That's it. Super. We have just unstacked the data into various columns, right? Without any complex formula or functions of Excel, and just with the available features of Excel, right? So this is one of the awesome techniques. What we need to also discuss that which kind of technique, either it's a dynamic array or a power query, or this kind of technique will be useful in a longer run if we have a large data set. So we need to understand that as an Excel user, what should be your priority. So if you have a simplified data and you have some pattern in it, in that, so you can go with some tips and tricks. Whereas if you have some very business complex data available in which you need to do a lot of transformations, so you decide that either you go with dynamic arrays to handle that or Power Query at the end, right? All right. So I hope you love this technique as well. I really love this technique. And I hope that most of the times we got this kind of data where we need to unstack that. And it is very simple and easy and it does not take a lot of time. But there is one limitation. We need to understand that. For example, in the data source, if we get any kind of a change later on, for example, if I change the name from Shubham to Yogesh, and if I change the amount, so definitely this data will not get updated, because as you know that we have just pasted as values and then we remove the blank cells to make them shift upwards, right? So we need to apply the technique one more time in order to update our data, right? So this is one of the limitations. So you need to take care of that data source will not be changed. You are sure about that. So you can go with this tips and tricks. Now, if you see that the data will get changed, or even when the data gets up, when you get some new, more records later on, so you need to apply that as well. So this kind of techniques comes handy when you know that this is the complete data. We will not get more data and there will be no change. So you can apply this technique, this first technique, okay? But in case, for example, if you have data to be opened later on and you want to be update the numbers in real time as well. So let's come to the next solution that is related to dynamic array. So let's start with the dynamic arrays. So I will start with equals to sequence. So the first function of argument is about the rows. So I will add another function count a, and then I will select the entire range of my data and then I will close the bracket, divide by 5. Now why I am dividing it by 5? Because I know that each of my record has 5 fields, so they are equivalent. So each of the record has 5 fields, so I will divide it by 5. Now the question comes in your mind that if each of the record does not have the same number of fields, then what you will do? So that's why I have also mentioned one of the good Power Query solution in this video as well. But for example, again, we have come around with some limitations that you have some number of records and each of the records have equivalent fields available in the data set. So you can go with this technique. So dividing it by 5. And then how many columns we want to split? This data is definitely 5 because we have date, code, product name, customer and amount. And I will close the bracket. So as soon as I close the bracket, it generates number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then in the next 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 till 25. So we have 5 records, so total of 25 fields in that. So next, now these will work as our helper columns. Whereas let me apply one more function, and that is index. So the index, the first function argument is the array. That is the range from where we need to get the output. So that's definitely this column on data column. And then I will go for the first cell where the number starts from 1, which is E3, and I will add the hashtag. So basically hashtag will select the entire range which is generated by sequence function, and I will close the bracket here, and that's it. Super cool, right? You got the data and unstacked, right? And remember that till yet dynamic arrays does not return the headers as well as they do not hold the formatting. So we can do the formatting by just right click and go to format cells, and we can define the formatting we would like to have for this particular column, right? We can define that as well. Now, for example, if a question comes in our mind that we need these helper columns every time in order to get this kind of a solution with the dynamic array. So the answer is no. It was just for your understanding. But for example, if I copied this logic here, so I am copying the sequence in counter function, and in the index row number function argument, instead of 3 hashtags, I will just copy and paste that function, which is the sequence in, and I will press enter key and I will press Ctrl X to cut and paste it here. Right now, the benefits of this array, dynamic array, is basically when you have a change in your data set. For example, instead of Rahul, if I write my name Shubham, so you can see that it is being changing because these numbers, these unstructured data is coming from the formula, right? So in real time, it will change. Let me change the amount as well. So it is changing here. And later on, if you get any other entry, for example, if I just copy and paste another data appended, so you can see here, you got one more entry here, right? But as I told you, the dynamic array does not the formatting. So you need to consider that you need to do formatting whenever a new record is being added to the data set. So this is how we handle the unstacking with the help of index, sequence, and count. So basically sequence is one of the dynamic array formula, right? Alright, so far so good. We have learned how to unstack this stacked data into to unstack with the help of some tips and tricks available in Excel. And then we went for dynamic array solution. Now, let us come to the Power Query. And the Power Query, I have made two queries here. For example, now again in the Power Query, we will see each other records contain same number of fields. But in the second situation, every record does not contain same number of fields. Some have 3, some have 5, some have 7. And so in that particular scenario, what we need to do is in Power Query, right? So let's first solve this situation first for the Power Query, which is having each of the required having equal number of fields. Alright, so this data is in the form of table, converted into a table format. And then I will go to the data, and then in the get and transform group, I will click on from table or range. Alright, so this data will goes into the Power Query editor where we can do all kinds of transformation, right? So now we got the data, right? And what we are required to do here is we will go to the add column and we will insert an index column. So you can insert an index column from 0 or from 1. So if you insert it from 0, it will start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 till the last number, which is 24. Or you can insert the index column number from 1 to onwards. So after inserting an index column, we will add another column, which is modulo column. Now, why we are adding modulo column? Because we know that our each of the record contains 5 fields and that are equal with every record. So in the modulo, we need to define that number, and in the value field, I will write 5 here. So the logic of 5 is basically because in each of the records, we have 5 fields, and I will press OK. So now you can see that the modulo created the number from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, which are the 5. And 4 for the next entry, it is again creating 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So I will select this modulo of column. I will click on this modulo of column, and then I will go to transform, and then I will click on pivot column. So a pivot column dialog window will appear here. So we need to basically unstack the data column, which is the first column, and click on advanced option and select don't aggregate, because we don't want to aggregation, but we want to make them split into multiple columns. So make sure you do not forget to also apply the advanced options and select the don't aggregate, right? And now press OK. So once you press, your particular data column has been split into 5, right? And what you now you can do is you just need to do some transformations. So from column number 1 till 4, select these columns and go to transform tab and apply fill upwards. And then from column 0, open this drop down menu and uncheck the null values and remove this index column. And now you can rename those title as well, those headers as well. So double click on that and give a nice name to that. Later on, you can understand that. So the second column is code, the third one is product, the fourth one is customer, and the fifth one is the amount rate. Now, after doing all these transformations, and we have successfully done the unstacking. So I will go to home tab, close and load to, and I will say that existing sheet at this output is in our existing sheet. Or you can go with the new sheet as well. And I will press OK. So now in just a few seconds, we will get that unstacked data. Wow. Super cool, right? And let's say, for instance, later on, if your data gets revised, for example, if I write my name, if I change the amount and if I add some more entries in this data, so after you know that you have some additions of records and you have edited some of the records and you want to update this particular table which came from the Power Query transformation. So what you need to do is go to the data tab and check on refresh, click on refresh. So that's it. See, your new changes has been added, right? So this is super cool technique where you don't have limitations such like previous techniques we saw. But as I told you that it depends on situation by situation. So every technique is useful, but I am just exposing that. How many different ways are available now for the Excel users to make their life easier in terms of data transformation. So let's come to the last scenario in which we have some records, but now each of the records does not have equal in fields. So if you can see that, and also we have now two columns. So the first column is of salesperson in the second one is of products. Whereas this example is just as imaginary example. You can go with your real-time data sets where you have a column like teams and their respective members, and you can go ahead with the sales numbers with respect to the products by the time classification. So it depends on the data set, but this technique will come in handy. So we have two columns, salesperson and products. And if you can see with the first salesperson, that is Shubham, we have three products A, B, C. Then we have Yogesh, where he has got 5 products A, B, C, D, E. Then we have Neha, who has got more products than Shubham and Yogesh, right? And then last we have Piyush, who only got 2 products. So there are multiple records, there are many records, but they are not equal. And so now in this scenario, we need this kind of unstacking. But how to do in Power Query? Let's get started and learn it. So this data is already converted into table format, and I will go to the data tab and I will click on this from table of range. So now my data will be previewed in the Power Query editor where we will be doing all the data transformation steps, right? Okay. So now first let me insert an index column and let me give you what we are doing and how we will be solving this particular situation. So for example, if I insert an index column, which let's say, which starts from 1, so you know that when you insert an index column, it generates a serial number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 till the last row of the record you can see. So it is generating a numbers from 1 to 18, whereas we know that we need a column such like that. It generates a serial number, but with every new record, it restarts its numbering from 1 again. So what I want is, I want a column which generates a serial number, but whenever a record starts, it starts with 1. So here you can see in this particular indexed column, we got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on. But as for here, from the salesperson column point of view, we want a number 1 here instead of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then the third record, which is for the Neha, instead of 9, we want 1 again. So I hope I am clear at this point, and that I need a column where every new record is starting, so that serial number should also start. So on that particular logic, we will make this data into unstacked. So now this will not fulfill our purpose, right? And what we are required to do is we need to write M language code, M coding. So now you don't have to type that. Even what I will do is I will give you one good technique to do it. Even if you don't know M language, you can just do it as well. So after inserting an index column, you can see on the formula bar, this formula bar is showing you a code of language and code. So what you need to do is you need to just select this entire line and right click and copy this, or you can press Ctrl C, right? So when you copy this entire coding, what you need to do is you need to remove this index column. Okay. So now the step would be you will go to the transform tab and click on group bar and make sure that you are grouping the first column, which is the salesperson, and make sure that in the operation drop down menu you will select all rows and press OK. So now you will get 2 columns, salesperson, which is being now grouped, and the count column. And when you click on any of the cells in which the table is being written, you will see a small preview here in the bottom. So when I click on Shubham, I can see only 3 records. So when I click on, I can see only 3 records. So when I click on Neha, I can see, let's say 5 records. Like when I click on Piyush, so I can see that particular number of records, number of transactions. So now what I need to do is I have already copied that index column code, and I will go to add column. Then I will click on custom column, and here I will paste that code. And I need to do one small change. So you can see here hashtags code, change type codes. So you need to remove that and just double click on the count. That's it. And press OK. Now you just need this column, this custom column. We don't need now salesperson and count column because all our data is now available here. So now you can see the preview. We have got the index column, and every time when I click on any of these salesperson record, it is just giving me a new numbering. So what I will do is right click, remove other columns, and now I will open this drop down. And then I will say, okay, I need salesperson, products, and index column, right? So now before that, you see in the video, when I just inserted an index column for very first time, you see that index column was generating numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 till the last row. But hey, here now I got that column. So every new record which is starting here, it is generating a serial number from 1. So you can see here this new record, and now it is generating 1 here and goes till it. So whenever it got the new record, it restart their numbering right now. I will select this index column, and then I will go to transform tab, and then I will click on pivot column, and then I will go to pivot column, and which kind of data I want to unstack, which is basically web product. So I will select the products, then in the advanced option, don't aggregate, and then I press OK. That's it. And now we can just rename all those headers just like product A, product B, product C, and so on. Right? So I'm just renaming all those headers now. Our data has been unstacked, and I will go to the close and load, and I will click on close and load to. Let's say we want the data here and now. You can see that you got this unstacked data in two columns where we have uneven records fields. Okay, so for example, later on, if you have some additions or deletions or any other thing you want to do with the data, for example, instead of, let me write Shubham here and product is, so we have eliminated one product of Yogesh and added one new for the Shubham. And same if I just copy and paste two more entries for Piyush. So after doing some additions in the data and editing, I will go to the data tab and I will click on refresh. So now you can see that the records has been updated successfully, right? So this was for unstacking the data when you have an uneven record of fields in Power Query. So I hope you like this video and loved all these techniques for the unstacking the data through tips and tricks, through dynamic arrays, through Power Query, which we have discussed in two different kinds of situation, right? So thank you.